Alright, welcome along everybody to Your Physique Radio. It's episode number 1, May 28, 2012. And we're broadcasting to you live from Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Colin Kennedy and I'm joined by my co-host Craig Clifford, who is all the way back home in Ireland. Craig, how are you doing?
Not too bad, Colin, my man. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. Really excited about the new show and trying to get the word out there that we are online. We're on podcasts, we're on iTunes. More information later on. And basically, right now, guys, we want to give you an introduction on who we are and why we're on the radio. So, Craig, why don't you go first?
Okay. Well, welcome, listeners. Glad you're tuning in and hope you can get some information that will help you in your endeavours to be in the gym, in the kitchen, wherever, okay? So, first and foremost, my name is Craig Clifford. I'm living in Ireland now. I lived in America for 2 years, about 10 years ago, in Boston actually, and moved home. And at the time I was just kind of sick of my physique. I was nutting. I was just a nutting physique, so I bought some weights and unsuccessfully spent about 6 months doing things, thinking my bench press was for my arms and things of that nature. You know, that's how bad things got. So I said I bit the bullet and joined the local gym. And I was in with a trainer. It was basically 3 sets of 10, blah blah blah, your usual tricks, until I met an actual trainer in there who looked really big and a physique that I actually wanted to have. So no better person than to help than the actual guy who does that training. So got chatting to him, and to make a long story short, look, he took me under his wing, and 4 or 5 years of solid training under both our belts completely changed my life. Not just my physique, my actual life, because at the time I was in the construction industry and it was good, it was tough work, it was very, very physical. No, it's not so physical, it's handiwork. I like it, I love helping people. Colin helped me and I like to pass on that. So I got my qualifications. It took me maybe 2.5 years to get them all, to get my diplomas, and I opened my own gym in 2009. And it's very successful, thank God, even though we're in a recession. So I'd like to think when we start to come out of the recession, things will get much better. But anyway, it's for another day. So I did my first bodybuilding show only 4 weeks ago today. It went very well, and I'll touch on that later on. But pretty much here I am. And any questions, guys? Like I said, Facebook, Castlemaine Gym. You can hit me privately or leave a message for the radio show on Your Physique Radio and we'll get back to you as soon as possible, okay? Or maybe even live on air. Now, Colin, over to you, mate. Can you give us a bit of an introduction on yourself?
Absolutely. So, again, guys, my name is Colin Kennedy. Originally from Carlow in Ireland. And I say originally from Carlow in Ireland as I'm now here living in the United States in Arizona. How I got into training, basically, it all spurred from my brother Damien. He was, always lifting weights, and he'd get the comments from his friends and, you're looking big, you're looking this and looking that. And in reality, he was probably 165, 170 pounds, but he had a good physique. And he's always carried that forth, and he still has today. So he really got me into it. As a part of that then, when we were in secondary school, I had to go and do a week's work experience. And I chose to pick a gym for my work experience. I didn't really plan on working too hard, but for the most part I was just cleaning equipment and hanging around and watching people train and, kind of being inspired a little bit. From there then I decided that, health and fitness was something I did want to do as a career, and when I left school I went and did a PLC, so a post-leaving certificate course in Waterford, and that course was called Sport and Recreation. It gave me an insight into the fitness world, let's say, and the careers that can be had that are out there, not just working in gyms, but in terms of wellness programs in the corporate sector or helping people rehab from injuries. There's a lot to be done. Following that then I had a small bit of a qualification, so I started working back in that same gym I did my work experience in while I was at school. So I started working there in the summertime, and that was quite good. Again, I got to learn a little bit more from the manager who was working there at the time, and again a lot of the guys who were in there lifting, and some good decent lifters, no competitive bodybuilders at that stage, but it was a small gym to say the least. After that then I did an NCF, the National Certificate in Exercise and Fitness. That's basically Ireland's equivalent to ACE here in America, which is the American Council on Exercise. They basically test you in set you to a standard so that you're capable of instructing people in the gym to perform exercises of a, you know, with good form, good technique, and some understanding as to why you're actually doing them. Following that, then I decided I'd go a little bit further, and I began to take on a Bachelor of Science in Health and Leisure. And in 2004 I finished up, and now we're here in 2012. In between that time, I have worked in gyms and fitness centres as a fitness instructor, personal trainer and swim instructor. And then I decided to make a move with my wife, not at the time, but my wife now, to Australia for a year. And that's really where everything kicked off for me. New Zealand first is where it really kicked off. So I started working as a personal trainer in the gym, got very successful, had great results with my clients. Moved to Australia then, following another year there, exactly the same process again, working within a gym as a personal trainer, and again continued to success. And now I find myself here, living in Arizona in the United States, again working as a trainer, helping people to achieve their goals. So basically, weight loss is number one, there's no question. So if it's 5 pounds to 55 pounds, if you want to lose it, you know, the advice is there, the support is there, the knowledge is there to help you achieve that. If you're looking for performance in sports such as American football, athletics, or even golf, you know, I'm here on hand to help you develop speed and power that will help you improve your athletic performance for those games. And then on top of that, then I've been recently taking over the recovery or rehabilitation phase from a physiotherapist. So once the physio is done with his part and all that they can do in the treatment room, it's up to me then to get the person back to 100% in terms of absolute strength and prevention of injury in the future. So that's basically me. The radio show then was an idea that I came up with recently. You know, I listen to a lot of radio shows, as do you, Craig, and our listeners probably do as well, based on fitness and nutrition. And you know, some of the time it's hard to reach out to those people who are involved. You know, but we're here, we're every day, we're working in gyms, we're doing the same thing as our listeners are. We're all trying to better ourselves, and if we can help just one person better themselves in terms of their health and fitness, I think we'll be happy that this show was a success, and the future shows thereafter will also be a success. So Craig, that's me, and that's you, and tonight the topics we're going to go through, we've got the definitions of bodybuilding, powerlifting, and Olympic weightlifting, just so people are aware of the difference between them, as some of our listeners may not be. Craig was also interviewed on Radio Kerry, and we're going to have a quick talk about why he was interviewed and, you know, how his experience was. He also did a bodybuilding show recently. He spoke about it earlier, so we're going to go in depth into how he prepped for that and how he found it on the day and the weekend of the actual show, and his, you know, his feelings of it, whether it was all worthwhile or not. And we'll also talk a little bit about the IFBB Pro Circuit and the competitions past and upcoming. So Craig, why don't you kick us off with some definitions here? Let's talk powerlifting first. What do you know about powerlifting?
Okay, powerlifting. I actually did a couple of powerlifting meets myself, and did reasonably okay. Like I said, I'm not a powerlifter. I kind of did it because there was a lot of good young guys in my gym, and they were pretty strong, so I wanted them to get into it. Because if they started winning medals, it might keep them training, and first and foremost, it will keep them in the gym and out of trouble. Secondly, it'll make them feel a lot better about themselves, you know, because they're getting stronger. And it's a good thing, because where my gym is placed, there isn't much around unless you play football, or an Irish equivalent of football for all our American listeners. It's the Gaelic Association, okay? But anyway, powerlifting is a bench press, it's a deadlift, and it's a squat. Now, bench press competitions, there's loads of different committees, but they all follow the same line as the bar has to come up, it has to be lowered down to the lower chest, it has to pause for at least a split second, and your referee will say press or lift, and then you press. Arms have to be locked out, and you cannot shake on your way up, and the bar has to be racked by you, not anyone else. So that's pretty much one clean bench press in a powerlifting meet. Your squat, same as that. I mean, all these things can be equipped or unequipped, and equipped meaning that you're wearing a lifting suit, which is pretty much like It's almost like wearing rubber. It's very, very helpful. You'll always lift a lot heavier when you're lifting equipped than non-equipped or raw. But I do not see the benefits of lifting more weight assisted. You know, so you can get with them suits. There's single ply, there's double ply, and there's not supposed to be triple ply. But I've seen guys putting on a single ply and a double ply suit, which isn't against the rules, but they get away with it. So so your squat, then you come down, bar resting on the back of your neck. You get the result. You get to your squat. You come all the way down until you're parallel or further, and then you press up. Again, you can't be seen to struggle. You have to be on an upward motion throughout the lift. If you stop for even a split second, it's not a lift. And you come to the top and there's your lift. And as far as the deadlift, it can be done various ways. Again, using a suit, or not, or raw. But your deadlift will be the bar lifted off the ground, straight up. Some organisations don't let you touch your leg, some do, depends on the organisation. The local one here, which is the GPC in Ireland, don't let the bar can't touch your leg until the very top, so you can run it up through your shins. It has to be a clean lift, always coming up, always on the way up. That's pretty much your powerlifting, what goes into it. You know, I only touched on it very rarely. I can actually get a powerlifter to come on maybe next week or the week after, and he'll explain more in depth into powerlifting. And it's very good. Believe me, it's a fantastic way of lifting. It's a fantastic way of getting strength. But for me, I'm a bodybuilder. I love bodybuilding. It's what I always wanted to do. Powerlifting doesn't really have a place for me in my training routine. So that's what powerlifting. Do you want to explain bodybuilding?
Well, I'm actually going to touch on. I'll touch on Olympic lifting first, and we'll leave bodybuilding lifting.
Okay.
So Olympic lifting, basically, you've got two lifts, and this is the one you will see in the Olympics come June 2012 in London. So you've got your snatch and your clean and jerk, and that's basically it. There was once upon a time the clean and press, but it's been discontinued due to difficulties in judging proper form. So there was a lot of inconsistency. So right now you've got the snatch and the clean and jerk. Just like powerlifting, you've got 3 attempts, your best one counts, and you are in weight categories. So the snatch and the clean and jerk, they're very much explosive moves. For those who haven't seen it before, you might be surprised how much these people can lift when you actually see them, and in the comparison from the strength to weight ratio. So you got females out there pressing more than 120 kilos over their heads who are weighing 65 kilos. So it's pretty extreme. It is probably the most athletic of all of the types of lifting we're speaking about, but it's the only one at the moment that is currently recognised by the IOC, so the International Olympic Committee, and you will see it come June 2012 on TV. So pay attention, you'll see some crazy lifts. The last one then, Craig, bodybuilding. So that's basically the focus of our show. It's bodybuilding. And bodybuilding, as the name suggests, is building your body. So trying to develop as much muscle as you can. All the while you should be concentrating on symmetry. So from left to right hand side of your body, you should have the same amount of muscle on each side. So you haven't got one arm bigger than the other. From front to back, your chest muscles should match your upper back, so that one isn't weaker than the other in terms of how it looks at least. And then from the lower half to the upper half of the body, legs should be nice and thick, hamstrings should be there with a hang, quads should have a sweep, just like your upper half of your body should be nice and wide and thick. When it comes to actual competition, you need that size, you need that muscle symmetry, and then you need the conditioning. So the conditioning is really where you're going to win or lose a lot of shows. You got to be lean. We're talking sub 4% at the pro level, possibly sub 3. It sounds pretty extreme, but believe me, if you've seen any of these professional bodybuilders in person, it's definitely a sight to behold. You're talking 5'8", 265 pounds, ripped on stage. Is it healthy? That's a topic for another show. But definitely the training towards the show and the sense of accomplishment and achievement, and just giving you daily drive and motivation to go and achieve something, by all means, I have to say worth all of its rewards. And again, I have actually competed myself. It's been 5 years now since I have done so, but I definitely do remember the cardio and the dieting, and it wasn't fun by any means. But again, there's a huge sense of accomplishment when you're on stage. Just pump a search into Google and you'll find more about Olympic lifting, bodybuilding or powerlifting. And like Craig said, we can in the next couple of weeks, if we have a request from a listener, get somebody on who is a competitive powerlifter on a regular basis, so that's what they're training for, to come on and talk more about it. And if you've any more questions for us regarding any of the 3 topics, so bodybuilding, weight training, bodybuilding, Olympic style weightlifting or powerlifting, feel free to get in touch with us through our Facebook page, or you can request it through our email, which is yourphysiqueradio@gmail.com. Craig, let's move on a little bit now and speak about you a little bit more. So you were recently on the radio there in Kerry on the local radio station. How did you become to be on the show? How did they get in contact with you, and why, more importantly?
Well, like I said in my introduction, 4 weeks ago I did my first bodybuilding competition and did very reasonably well. I got to where I needed to be. I didn't make the top 5, but I was happy with where I placed. Anyway, the local newspaper in the town, the Kerry's Eye, you probably know it, Colin.
Yep.
Come out, wanted to do a piece on me. The guy who works there, the editor, is a friend of mine, so he wanted to do a piece, took some pictures, and they were in the local newspaper, and the local radio station seen the newspaper and decided like that it was Terrace Talk, so they do a sports radio, but they've never ever covered bodybuilding as part of their sport, so it was something that intrigued the guy, and he wanted to talk about it, so he gave me a ring, and that's how I got onto the radio. It was a great experience being on the radio, because I got to tell all the listeners what's involved, how I started to where I am now, and it was great to get that across, because people just see me and they think, oh, he trains or he works in a gym and it's easy. You know, Colin, building a body does not come easy. It's 24/7. It is like 24/7, and especially the cardio part, getting ready for the show. I'll touch on that pretty soon, but getting back to the show anyway, or back to the radio show, it was great. The guy knew nothing, and he asked me, or he told me at the start that he knew nothing about bodybuilding, so I was kind of leading him into his questions, which kind of suited me.
Yep.
But it was good. I was happy with it, you know what I mean? And I got some great feedback from the actual radio, from people that I don't see that often, and they were saying, oh, I heard you on the radio and you sounded good, and you know, you came across very well, so that was good, and I was happy with that. So, and that's exactly why me and Colin are here now, guys.
Exactly.
We're here to help you as much as possible. I went on Radio Kerry to help, and we're doing this radio show to help. That's our main goal.
Yeah.
So
it was actually, Craig, part of the reason I decided to go forth with this idea and bring you in on it was because of the fact that, you know, we don't hear very much about bodybuilding, especially not in Ireland. You don't. Here it's a little bit more common in the States, because you know, this is where the Pro League hangs out, and you know, but back home, you know, you're almost, I won't say you're more respected here, but there's definitely a question as to why would you do that to yourself back home in Ireland, especially in the smaller towns where the bigger gyms are not around and the competitive bodybuilders don't often frequent. You know, you're going to get those looks, you're going to get those stares, those questions, and you're going to have those comments from the people who haven't got a clue. So when you went on the radio, on Radio Kerry on Terrace Talk there a couple of weeks ago, you know, it was nice to see that the general public could hear what you had to say as a competitive bodybuilder, as somebody who works at a gym, as somebody who helps people in the gym on a daily basis. And you know, basically we're taking that a step further, and we're giving people the opportunity now to write in, make comments. You know, we're on the show, you know it's coming up every week. If you want your piece said, you know, if you have something to say about a competition, something you didn't like, be it the RIBBF here in Ireland or the IFBB here in the States, the professional level, if you have a comment and you want to let us know about it, and we'll tell the listeners, send it through to us. And basically we're here to help.
Cool.
Alright.
Excellent.
Craig.
Well, I'd say, will I touch on my experience and actual, for my show, Colin?
Absolutely. Go for it. Tell the people why you did it, how long it took you, you know, your stats along the way, and who helped you out with the whole process, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I decided about 18 months ago that I was going to do this show, so I was training hard and heavy for it. It really, when you decide to do the show, I was training really well, but I did step up the mark when I decided to do the show, because maybe 3 years ago I decided, you know, I can miss Friday, I can miss shoulders, I can do this, I can do that. I was training hard at that time, but I wasn't locked into going on stage. But when I was locked in, I thought, you know, I can't miss shoulder day. I gotta go in on Sunday. I had to do everything.
You have that accountability, isn't it?
I could be on that day, you know.
Yeah.
So prepping for the show, I started on December 27th at 95.5 kgs. Colin can tell you can convert that to pounds for all the Americans.
I'll get back to you with that. Keep going anyway.
Yeah. So I was 95.5 kgs at about 17% body fat, and I thought I looked good, but looking back at the pictures, I didn't. I was probably too heavy. I'm glad I gave myself the 18 weeks of cardio. I really am. So I got in touch with a guy, the junior guru, Jonathan Konevsky is his name. He's actually living in Minnesota, and he decided to help me along the line. I kind of knew basically what I was doing anyway, but I just wanted a second opinion and someone who would tell me honestly what I needed to do, because there's lots of guys in the gym, and don't get me wrong, they're great guys, and they tell me, oh Craig, you're looking big, you're looking great, you're looking ripped. But there's a difference when someone knows exactly the flaws that you should be looking for. You probably know that, Colin, you know.
Yeah, it's always nice to have someone in the gym. Yeah, it's always nice to have someone in the gym say, oh, you're looking good, you're looking this, you're looking that, but, you know, you need an outside perspective. You don't want somebody who's just trying to blow smoke up your ass, you know. It's you need somebody who's not going to hold the punches.
That's going to get you nowhere, like.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, I decided, I started doing cardio, I started weighing all my food for maybe the first 2 weeks. I didn't cut out anything out, just so I could get the ratios of what I was on, what I was taking in. My macronutrient levels, you know, my fat, my carbs, my protein, and then I started to cut it back maybe every 2 weeks, and then started off with 20 minutes cardio, fasted cardio every morning, 7 days a week, actually 6 days a week. I never did cardio on leg day, but so yeah, and then I put it up by 5 minutes every week up until the show. So by the time I got to 4 weeks out, I was doing 2 cardio sessions, one 45-minute session in the morning and another 20-minute session post-training. You
know, I have to say, Craig, that you were sending me pictures along your journey, and you know, the difference from when you started, you know, you weren't fat, let's say, but you weren't in shape, you were not lean. No. But the difference along the way, you know, from week to week, those pictures were coming through, and you know, there was absolutely a difference. And you know, it's just astounding what you can achieve if you want to, and what anyone else can achieve if they want to. But you know, to actually go there and do it, regardless of where you placed, the conditioning that you got into was just, you know, it was excellent. So I just want to say congrats on your first competition and getting down to that condition. So sorry for cutting you off there, but
no, thanks, mate. I appreciate that, Colin. And exactly, Colin, you just touched on it there, right? I did it for a bodybuilding show, but anybody can do it. They can do it because they have a wedding. They can do it because it's Christmas. You know, give yourself X amount of weeks, set yourself a goal, and go do it. It is hard work, but by God, when you look in the mirror, when you reach your goal, you don't even think about the early morning sessions. Mm-hmm. They're forgotten about completely, absolutely, completely. All the hard eating, all the weighing of the food, it's just past. You don't even think about it. The goal, and when you hit it, it's unexplainable, to that feeling of being ripped to the bone and all the hard work paying off. It's unexplainable until you actually do it. But I'm not special. You're not special, Colin.
Thanks,
anybody
Craig.
Can do
Thanks.
This. You just gotta want it. You gotta want it more than going on the beer. You gotta want it more than eating them crisps or chocolate. You just have to want it more. That's all.
Absolutely. So Craig, you started out at 95.5 kilos, which for the Americans out here was 210 pounds, or if you're still in stone, it was 15 stone on the button. What were you weighing in on stage or the day before?
I stood on the scale on the weigh-in on the morning of the show at 76.5 kgs. 76.5
kgs. So that's almost 20 kilos.
Yeah, it's about 42 pounds maybe, is it?
You know, so you went from 95.5 to 76.5. It was 15 stone down to 12 stone, or 168 pounds. So I mean, that's lean as can be, because like I said, you were not that out of shape to begin with. So to drop that amount of fat and get rid of your water, you know, people look in the mirror and they say to themselves, I've got about 10 pounds to lose. In reality, you're probably talking 40 pounds. You know, if you want to be in that shape, if you want to have those abs showing through.
Right. You really got that right.
You know, it's very deceptive. Unless you've done it before, you're always going to underestimate how much weight you have to lose.
I mean, me and you, Colin, we know guys who think they're 12% body fat, right?
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, you know. So in reality, they're on at least 10 digits, at least.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
so
you know,
if
you can.
You're 12, you're probably 22, that kind of a way.
Yeah, I mean, the trend I can really tell it. What I will do after this show is done, I'll pop up a link onto our Facebook page, which gives you pictures and percentages side by side, and they are truly comparative. So if you've got a 10% picture, you know, you can really look at what 10% looks like on a male, and we'll also have some of a female. And now everyone will look slightly different, but for the most part, it gives you a very, very good idea as to what 10% body fat looks like, 4% body fat looks like, 20% body fat looks like. And hopefully by looking at that, you can look at yourself and really assess where you are. And what I will say as well is, don't always listen to somebody just because they're wearing a polo shirt at a gym. They don't necessarily know what they're talking about unless they've gone through it themselves, unless they've had the education. You know, experience is one thing, but actually knowing what you're doing is another. They go hand in hand, but definitely the combination of the education and the experience is really what you want to be looking for if you're going to take advice from someone. But again, Greg, going back to the body fat percentages and whatnot, where do you think you're at now?
I'm only guessing, but I'd say about 12, maybe 11.
Okay, so you're still looking good. You're still, you know, pretty lean.
My abs are still there. They're still all there. Like,
you're leaner than the average Joe by a long way. So
yes, definitely. But you know, obviously not stage ready.
Yeah.
But you know, you can't stay at 5% body fat and expect to gain muscle. It's just not going to work. You just can't.
Yeah. It's hard enough to gain muscle.
I might try to be taken off me.
Yeah.
That's another story.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Craig, anything else that you want to share about your experience competing, or?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just, I mean, what I will say, if anyone is ever thinking of doing a show, I was always the person who goes to the show going, you know, oh, I'm not ready. You'll never be ready. Get up on stage, go up and do it. You're a first timer. Get your feet wet.
And
if you come first or last, you're going to get experience, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And it's an absolutely fantastic experience. And if any of you guys need help, come to Colin or myself, and we guide you all the way up to the stage. All right?
Tell me this, Craig. Where are you in terms of your next competition? Is it in a year's time? Is it 2 years' time? Is it in 6 weeks?
I'm actually going to take the whole lot of 2013 off.
Yep.
And I'm going to reevaluate in 2014. I'm thinking maybe the Nationals in 2014, which will be either the end of September or October.
Okay.
2014, so we're looking at least 2 years. At least 2 years to
and
pack on some muscle mass.
You're competing with the RIBBF, is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Alright, so the president of those guys, that's Mick Bullman still, is it?
Yeah, that's Mick. He's actually a good guy, and he's doing great work at the moment. Actually,
good.
At the bodybuilding level, he's really putting in the hard yards to get it out there. So fair play to him.
You know what? Maybe we should make the call and try and get Mick to come on here and give his little opinion on give his opinion on the bodybuilding scene in Ireland and where it's come from, because I believe the Bullman family have been really behind the RIBBF from almost day one, if not day one. They've come through the ranks, they've all been bodybuilders themselves, and they've had great success at the shows. And I just want to say thank you to the Bullman family, let's say, for bodybuilding in Ireland, because without them, we'd have one other organisation, which is NABA, and you know, it's always nice to have a second option. You know, it's always nice. Extra shows,
I agree,
extra
Colin.
competitors,
Well said,
extra
Well said.
motivation. And you know, there's that rivalry as well between the NABA guys and the RIBBF guys, and you know, rivalry can only be good. It can only push people further and further on their goals. So the more the merrier. But again, hopefully someday we can get Mick on here and he can give us his opinions on where bodybuilding is going and what's he doing with the sport in Ireland to keep it going further and keep it moving further and keep the shows up to the standards that we expect to see, let's say.
Yeah.
Craig, you were in Birmingham in England recently for a Body Power Expo, I believe.
Yes, it was.
How did that go?
Body Power Expo 2012. Fantastic weekend, absolutely fantastic weekend. Started off the Friday morning training in Temple Gym alongside Branch Warren, which was fantastic.
Good stuff.
Just great experience.
And now, did Branch know you were going to be there? Or is that why he showed up? Or?
Yeah, he had texted me on the Thursday night.
Oh, yeah.
Time I'm coming, but I told him I couldn't make it till Friday, so he just carried on training.
Alright, no worries. Right.
Yeah, so I mean, that guy trains really intensely, as his DVDs would show. But clever too, though. He doesn't kill himself. Maybe it was just the morning off. I don't know, but he trains really cleverly. I put it that way. I watched a few things that stood out to me. You know.
So your experience watching him in person was much different than his videos, then?
Oh my God, chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
You know, chalk and cheese. He did mention in his masterclass as well later on in the day that he doesn't train like he does in the DVDs anymore because of the two torn quads he's had and the torn tricep. It's too dangerous for him. Okay. Plus he's got a new child, so if he's not working, money isn't coming in.
Absolutely.
He's got to look after his kid first and foremost. His family's got to come first.
Yeah.
You know, so Trish, his wife, she can look after him herself. His words, not mine.
She's also competitive. What is she? Figure or fitness? She's fitness, isn't she?
She's fitness, I think.
She's fitness, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think she's fitness.
Yeah, no, she is. She definitely is. But that's got to be tough as well to have a husband and wife duo who are both competing around the same time of the year, come Olympia time, and you know, having a family. And I know he has businesses outside of bodybuilding, and you know, it's not an easy job to raise kids, eat, diet, train. Both parents are doing that, and then go and work. I think he has 2 other businesses on top of bodybuilding. So the guy is a busy dude. He's got a great work ethic, and you know, it's gotten places.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I mean, he would tell you himself, he hasn't got the most aesthetic physique out there. Yeah. He's not a Kevin Lerone, he's not a Phil Heath.
Yeah, yeah.
But boy, does he work hard, and that's what gets him to where he is. You know. Again, anyone listening in, if you train really smartly and really intensely, you will get your results. If you train half-assed, you get half-assed results. That's the way I see things anyway.
Yeah. Well, one thing I would like to say actually is, you know, you might think it's great to go in there and be concerned about the number. Now, if you're a powerlifter, that's one thing. Numbers are the most important thing. But if you're a bodybuilder, the goal is to get bigger. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to be doing rep ranges of 4, 5s and 6s. Some people believe you do, some people don't. You know, it's basically a preference. Everyone's going to respond to some degree to different training styles. But the longer you train hard, the longer you train heavy, fine, you might get bigger faster, but you're not going to stay bigger longer. You know, you want to be in your late 50s, 60s, 70s and still be mobile and have your knees and have your hips and have your elbows and your wrists all in good order. And one great example of that is a gentleman who goes to the gym that I work at the moment. He's 79 years old, Craig. That's 79 years old. And this guy looks no more than 60, right?
Nice.
He's just a cool dude. He comes in, he has his sunglasses on in the gym, and it doesn't look wrong on him for some reason. He just looks good. He goes to the gym 2-3 times a week. He's playing tennis 2 or 3 times a week, and he swims. You know, he's really the epitome of good health. And you know, you had a health scare about 10 years ago, and he said, you know, no matter what, from here on in, everything I do is going to have a purpose. And his purpose is very simply to live longer. So, you know, when it comes back to bodybuilding, you know, look after your joints. Don't throw weights around just because somebody's watching. You know, exercise the muscle, not your ego, and you're going to go further.
Good for him, Colin, man. Good for him. And it'll stand to him. He's obviously extremely mobile for 79 years old.
Oh, he's unbelievable. He's unbelievable. I might actually see if we can get an interview with him.
I know who can't even walk.
how many 79-year-olds do you see in the gym? You know, it's just...
There you go. Yeah.
You know, he's completely on his own in terms of he's not in a rest home or anything like that. He's absolutely able-bodied. The last week I was in there, I was showing him how to do a calf press on a leg press machine. You know, the guy he's training, and he's training hard, but he's training smart. You know, so there's the difference. But so yeah, sorry, Craig. Going back to your Body Power Expo, you were at the
I was
seminar?
at the expo, and actually, funnily enough, the longest queue was not from a bodybuilder. It was actually from a physique competitor. Greg Plitt is his name. He was at the BSN.
Yep.
I think it was BSN. I'm not sure.
Yep.
But yeah, he had the longest queue, which was very strange. I didn't even line up to talk to the guy.
Maybe Craig, he was just really slow at signing autographs. That's why he had that long queue. But in reality, he's one of the fitness world's most photographed bodies, basically. I think he has more covers than any other person on the planet in terms of Fitness RX or Muscle and Fitness, Men's Health magazines. He is on covers probably once a month. He's on a cover somewhere in the world. You know, and he's basically what Men's Physique is about. But Craig, he doesn't actually compete in that new division, Men's Physique.
Doesn't he?
No, he doesn't. He's a working fitness model, as he would put it, as opposed to a Men's Physique / fitness model. So he does not currently compete, at least in Men's Physique. However, should he compete, you know, he'd definitely be winning some prize money.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe he hasn't enough.
And to give people an idea what Men's Physique is, actually, it's a new organisation that was started by the NPC in America and is now turned professional with the IFBB. It's basically, how do I describe this? It's conditioned. I mean, they're wearing board shorts first of all, so legs are not important. It's all about upper body. It's all about having lean abs. I mean, you're going to be ripped versus the average Joe, but you're not going to be bodybuilder ripped. You're probably talking a 6 feet guy at 180 pounds at absolute max.
Yeah.
But I mean, they look good. You know, they're probably more pleasing to the eye for most people than the bodybuilder would be, but it is definitely a new division, and it's something we will cover on a later show. So in the coming weeks, check out if anyone's interested in Men's Physique, and I believe there are some shows in Ireland coming up, Craig, is that right?
Yeah, there's one coming up in your hometown of Carlow, actually, in September.
Yeah. And who's running that? Is that Gianni, who owns that Olympia gym in Carlow?
Yes, it is. It's actually Gianni and Nicoletta, isn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah, two of them are running that show, so I'm going to take a trip up there and see how that goes. Looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Yeah, I actually used to train in Gianni's gym, and now he wasn't the owner at the time, but he was frequenting in and out, and you know, he seems like a nice guy, and he's competed a few times on the Irish scene, and I think he actually won Mr. Ireland at one stage. Now his real name, I believe, is not actually Gianni, but that's what everyone calls him. So if anyone knows Johnny's real name, or Johnny, if you're listening, pal, let us know what your real name is, and you know, we might get you on here for a quick interview and do a quick promo of your gym there in Carlow and of your Men's Physique show upcoming. Craig, Body Power is over until next year. I presume you will be going back?
Oh yes, definitely. Well, if it's not Body Power, it'll be FIBO next year. It will be one of the two though.
And FIBO's in Germany?
Yeah, and FIBO it's actually moving from Essen to Cologne next year, so they're promising a biggest ever FIBO, so it should be interesting.
And you've been to FIBO before?
Yes, FIBO for me was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was absolutely huge. It's the biggest fitness expo in the world, so if anyone is thinking of going, I would go FIBO to Body Power, the Arnold Expo and the Olympia. You know, they're 4 fantastic events.
So Craig, tell me,
the opportunity to go to any of them, then definitely go.
Other than let's say training in Dorian Yates Temple Gym with Branch Warren in attendance, let's say trying to learn some tips from you, then attending the seminar later on with Branch as well, talking about training and how he trains smarter now instead of harder or heavier, let's say. What else was going on at the expo? Was there many pros hanging around, or what events for the whole day?
There was loads. There was Ed, starting from when I went in, who was first, I think was Ed Nunn, Ronnie Coleman, Sean Ray, Dorian Yates, Kai Green. Who else was there?
And have you got
Ronnie
pictures with those guys?
Huh?
Did you get any pictures with them?
Yes, I did actually, and you can check them out on our Facebook page. Pretty soon I'll probably have them loaded up by tomorrow morning, maybe. But so you can check them out on our page.
Excellent.
Me with all the pros. Yeah, but it was a very good, worthwhile trip. I must say, I did learn a lot. I really did.
Good.
And for anyone who's interested in going to these things, you get a lot of freebies, and it's well worth it just for that alone.
Yeah, absolutely. I was at the Arnold Classic a couple of years ago in Columbus, Ohio, over here, and you know, if you get there early enough and you're quick enough around the stalls, you can definitely come home with a couple of months worth of supplies and samples.
Yes.
Yes. You know, a couple of free T-shirts. It's always nice to have a baggy T-shirt to train in, and not that I'm wearing T-shirts here in Arizona when it's 40 degrees almost every day, but you know, it's
poor you.
Yeah, absolutely. But definitely, if anyone,
it was 28 degrees
yeah,
here yesterday, and it was the warmest day for 15 years. So that'll tell you.
That's what you call a heat wave in Ireland. But
Yes.
if anyone does want to go along to one of those shows, I advise get there early. Expect to stay there late. You will meet a lot of pros. You might get some tips from them. You'll definitely get a photo opportunity. So be it a FIBO or the Body Power Expo or the Arnold Classic or any of the Europa Pro shows here in the States, or the Olympia, of course, which is on in late September, I believe this year, early October, which I plan on attending myself, Craig. So for the listeners out there, we will be getting some interviews from the event itself to put up here on Your Physique Radio. So that's something definitely to look forward for coming September. Craig, other than the Body Power Expo, anything else happening in the bodybuilding scene the last couple of weeks in Ireland or England?
No,
or
not
what's
really.
up?
Just the Spring Classic, which was the show I competed at. That was 4 weeks ago today. So it's pretty much we've a quiet period. Oh no, we don't. We've actually NABA coming up. We have the World Championships in NABA. It's the first time it's going to be held in Ireland, and that's coming up in 8 weeks' time, I believe, the end of July. So start of August, along that lines. I'm not 100% sure of the date, but I'll find that out for you guys.
Yeah, we'll get back to
But
you on that one.
that's going to be a big show, a very big show, and they're actually having an expo the day before, so should be good, and it'll be worth a trip up there, and I get some interviews from the top pros up there, so
Yeah.
from the NABA side of it, you know.
You
So,
see, the
yeah,
expos...
and then we have the Carlow show, and then we have the Nationals in October, so
And we'll get some
pretty much
coverage
where we
on
are right
those.
now.
One good thing about the expos, apart from obviously the freebies and whatnot, is that it encourages people who normally wouldn't step inside the world of bodybuilding to show up, because you've got your general day-to-day athletes. So you've got some rugby players or American footballers or soccer players who might show up because they're sponsored by a supplement company, you know, and you can get to meet those people. And while those normal people, let's say the general population, are in and around, they get that experience of seeing a 260-pound bodybuilder ripped to shreds, or seeing a 125-pound female bodybuilder ripped to shreds, or whatever weight they're coming in at, 140 pounds probably. And it definitely opens up their eyes to the world that's out there. And when you get to meet these people, 99% of them are just like you and me and everyone who's listening in. You know, they just go to the gym because they love it, and they fell in love with the idea of bodybuilding or building their body, and they just took it a step further. You know, there's no difference than the person who's going to the health club paying €5 a session or $10 a session here, whatever it is. You're all striving towards the same thing. You're trying to make yourselves a healthier, better version of yourself, be it through bodybuilding or just general fitness training, as we'll call it for now. It's definitely good for people to have a bit of promo. So Craig, what's up next?
Yeah, so we have a bit of competition coverage next, so we'll look forward first, I guess, before we look back. So we'll have, on the next show, our next competition coverage will be of the Toronto Pro. So competing in the Toronto Pro, we have, let me see now, sorry about this, guys. We have, it's not a huge lineup. We've Bill Wilmore, Seth Ferrose, John De Rosa, Troy Brown, Gregory Atoyan. Just from the names alone, I'm going to have to go with maybe probably Seth Ferrose to win that show.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Bill Wilmore looked pretty good last year at the, what did they call it, the Masters Olympia or the World Masters.
Yeah, he did, but again, the competition at the World Masters, you know, I don't think he can. I think he can do well, and Bill Wilmore is a good guy. and I'd love to see him win this show. But I think Seth Roshi being younger, I just can't see him losing this show. But you know, we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, you're looking at Troy Brown. Is he from Canada?
He's listed as being from Alberta in Canada, but he's actually an English guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he has competed a couple of times in I think 2008, 2009. He took some time off. This is his comeback show, let's say. So, you know, if he comes in condition, he's a big guy. He won the British overall probably in 2008, somewhere like that. He just hasn't made his mark on the USA stage, let's say. But look, he's not in the US, so he might have a better chance up there in Canada.
True. John De La Rosa, he's a wild card for that. He came 5th at the New York Pro, and the guy looked good.
Yeah.
And he's actually working with Dave Palumbo, I believe. So his conditioning will be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him again. I think he got pulled away from the attention in the New York Pro because Cedric McMillan, who won that, we'll talk about that in a moment. You know, he came in, he looked good. He's bigger. Well, he wasn't the biggest man on stage in terms of height, but in comparison for height to weight and how good he looked like the biggest man on stage. He was probably close to being the most conditioned as well. And combine those two, you know, you can't go too much far wrong in that, you know.
Yeah.
So that's the open class, Craig. Tell me more. Who's in the 212 class?
The 212 class for okay. So yeah, being honest, Colin, the 212 class is Guy Cisternino is the only name that stands out to me.
Me too.
Just looking at the lineup there now.
You know, you've got
Mohammed Masoom Butt, fantastic name. Hope he does well, just so I can hear his name more.
Yeah.
That's pretty much who stands out to me. I can't see anyone else.
You know, as we look at the list of competitors, which was released last night. Now it's not finalised just yet, but this was as of yesterday. You know, they're all international in terms of they're non-American, except for Guy Cisternino. He's a New Jersey boy. The rest are Bahamas, Canada, Pakistan, the Czech Republic, Barbados, Sweden. You know, it's very hard for these new guys, no matter how good they look, to come through. Should that be the case? No. But you hear about people saying you have to earn your keep, and you know, you got to show up time and time again before people start to take notice, and that probably will be the case in this. So look for Guy Cisternino to be up on the top of the pile. Definitely first or second place in the 212 Toronto Pro Show.
Okay, well, I suppose going back to the last pro bodybuilding show, which was New York, and it's probably maybe arguably the third biggest show in the scene.
Yep.
Cedric McMillan on top, and how did you see his physique, and did he deserve it, Colin?
You know what, he definitely deserved to win. There was a little bit of hype coming in for the likes of Steve Kuklo, Juan Morel and John De La Rosa, who placed 3rd, 4th and 5th respectively. But Johnny Jackson came in. You know, he's a tried and tested pro. He's won a couple of shows here and there. The last couple of shows he's come in 2nd or 1st. So I think the last 4 shows that's been his result. Just to be beaten out by Cedric McMillan. Cedric has the full package. You know, he's big up top, he's big down below, and by that I mean his legs. He's got the conditioning. His stage presence was pretty good considering he's relatively new to the scene. This is only his 2nd year, I believe, competing. And it's definitely a step up from his last pro show where I believe he placed 10th. So to win in a New York Pro, like you said, it's probably in the top 3 of all of the pro shows that are out there. The lineup wasn't fantastic, but you can't blame the competitors who show up for that. He showed up, he was in condition, he took 1st place. And your pal Johnny Jackson's in 2nd. What did you think of Johnny?
Johnny was great. Johnny gets better as the days go by.
He's 41 years old right now.
I think he did the same last year. He looked great as he kept competed, and then he took time off before the Olympia, and it set him back. I think Johnny should just keep doing shows, and whatever he brings to the Olympia, he brings. I hope he doesn't take time out now to try and put on some mass.
Yeah.
Because just from the past, he hasn't shown that he can bring it on the day of the Olympia.
Well, you see, the word on the street with Johnny is that he stopped competing in powerlifting events, which some would say hindered him in terms of developing muscle size. Let's say he was always a strong guy, and I'm sure he still is. I saw him doing side laterals with 100-pound dumbbells. So this guy definitely has the strength to be a power lifter. But from what I hear, he has moved back just to bodybuilding, and if that's the case, it looks like it's paying off for him.
Yeah, I mean Johnny's top half of his body is definitely he's the top half Mr. Olympia without a doubt.
Yeah, he's definitely comparative anyway. Yeah,
top half.
Yeah.
But it's his legs that let him down. It's unfortunate, and I'm sure he's trying, because it's not the first time he's heard this. I'm sure, and he is trying to do something. But genetics are genetics. I'm sure he just can't get them up. Mind you, they did look a lot better than they did before, so they are improving. But I just don't think he has the years left to put on the improvements needed to actually make the step up to be in the top 3. What do you think?
Yeah, he's I think it's a bit late in the day now. He's 41 years old. How much more muscle can he pack on, considering he's been training since he was 16 or 17? I think he's maxing out pretty much now. He is working with a new guru, as they're called, or a diet coach in it'll come to me in a moment, but he is with a new diet coach. He's dropped the powerlifting. He seems to be doing well. When I met him in Australia at the Australia Pro Show, not this one gone, but the one before, so 2011 Pro Show over there, he's big, he's thick. He's definitely a bodybuilder. You can't mistake this guy. He is a bodybuilder. He has a bodybuilder's physique. He hasn't got a typical powerlifting physique. No offense to the powerlifters. But I think 41 years old, he'll make it to the Olympia this year, but he's not going to come in the top 6. Not a chance.
No, I totally agree. Yeah, it'll take something. It'll take a lot of others not bringing it for him to get to the top 6.
Yeah.
But I guess 212. How did you see that one going down?
It didn't go down the way I would have liked to seen it in terms of who won and who didn't. My top 3 was Sami El-Brahim Ali Ahad. Sorry if you're listening, pal, if that's not how you pronounce your name. It's the best I can do. He should have taken first place. He's got the conditioning. He has the shape. He has the symmetry. He's technically, I think it was his debut in the IFBB. He was previously professional for the PDI, which was the organisation that Wayne DeMilla put forth with Lee Priest as the front guy a couple of years back. That failed miserably, but Sammy is back in the IFBB. He comes second place. Many argue he should have winning, but Kevin English takes first place, as he has done the last 6 shows I believe he's competed in. He's hard to beat, but is he hard to beat because the judges like him, or because he's hard to beat?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even have Kevin English. If he got third, it would have surprised me. I think his name won it for him, and the fact that he is 3-time 202 champion, that's how he got in first place here.
Yeah.
That's Sammy. I'm just going to call him Sammy Ali. Might be easier. Deserved first place as well. And again, Jose Raymond, who came in third. God, I've seen a way better Jose Raymond. I've seen much better versions of him. In a previous conversation yourself and myself had, Colin, you mentioned that maybe because of his stature, his height, he's only 5'3", 5'4", I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He might be 212, might be a stretch for him, whereas 202 might have been perfect. Would you agree?
Yeah, I don't think he's gained anything from having those extra 10 pounds, because 10 pounds more in his physique is not going to do him any favours, I don't think. Now, he might come back and surprise me and pull his conditioning in, but he's never going to be the biggest man on the Olympia stage. Maybe the local shows, but on the Olympia stage, I don't think so. But to be fair, I have to say, Craig, come Olympia time, I think that our 212 champion, as much as he might only be 204, 205 on stage, is not going to be Kevin English, is not going to be Jose Raymond. We're looking at an Englishman, Flex Lewis, or a Welshman, I'm sorry, Flex Lewis.
Oh, you mixed up England.
I'm very sorry, anyone who's listening. Welshman, proud of it. I really think he should have taken it last year. He just has a really, really pleasing physique. Looking at off-season pictures of him, he's definitely put on some weight, some excess along with it. But this guy, look for him coming in 204, 205, conditioned as always, with Neil Hill as his diet coach. And just going back to Johnny Jackson, his guy was George Farah, who's now also working with Kai Green, Craig. So if he can pull off some magic with Kai Green like he has with Johnny Jackson, we could have a tough Olympia lineup. But going back to 212 for right now, Jose Raymond, second or third, fine. Kevin English, second or third, but definitely Sammy, in my book, should have been our champion last week in New York.
Sammy for the win for me as well, definitely.
Outside of that, the names they're not necessarily notable, so no offense.
Well, Marco Rivera, Guy Cisternino, and after that.
Yeah, our fourth and fifth. Now, Craig, just going back to the Olympia right now, let's put down a prediction. First and second, presuming they do compete, so no injuries in the way. First and second place right now, Olympia 212. Sorry, we'll go with the Open first. Open Olympia. Who's going to take first? Who's going to take second?
Olympia, I can't see anyone past Phil Heath.
Yeah,
he's got my number one.
I agree.
I honestly don't think Jay Cutler is going to do it.
No.
If he did, I would have had him in second. If he does decide to do it, he's not going in the top 5 for me. If I knew he was going to do it, I just think after his bicep surgery and everything, and he's bringing out his new line of protein, I think there might be too much work on the side for him. So I think he might be back though next year. So definitely Phil Heath for me in one. I'm probably going to go with Branch Warren for second, and Kai Green for third. Yeah. There's a lot of others out there that could sneak in, but that's probably how I see it. And maybe you could flip-flop 2 and 3, but not number one in my book anyway. How do you see it as of today?
As of right now, I have to go Phil Heath to repeat. He's just phenomenal to look at. Like you can say all you want about narrow shoulders this, narrow shoulders that. Whatever narrow shoulders he supposedly had, you definitely don't notice him on the stage anymore. Second place, Kai Green could sneak in there. I'm looking at Kai possibly as number 2. We got to consider Branch, considering he came back and won the Arnold this year, even after a quick recovery from injury. And we'll see from there. But definitely Phil Heath 1. I'm going to go with Kai Green 2, and we'll pick Branch number 3. I'm not putting Jay Cutler in there. I do not think he will compete. I think it's all a scam or a hoax or publicity. As you said, he's bringing out a new line of supplements. He's got a new line of clothing, Cutler Athletics, and then he's also got some other one he's out of. I can't think of the name of it. I truly believe it's just for promotion of his products, which you can't blame the guy for that. And Muscular Development, of course, are going to encourage him to say he's competing to keep the readers interested, but I just don't see him on stage. And if he is, he shouldn't be. He's not going to place in the top 5, top 6, not this year. Maybe next year, but not this year. Craig, 212, 1, 2, 3, who are they? And then we'll get finished up with this week's episode.
Alright. I'm saying Kevin English at number 1. I don't feel like he deserves it, but I can't see the judges not giving him 1. But what I will say, if he doesn't come in at 100%, they will do him, I think.
Yeah.
Because he's been a bit slack in his last few shows, and I think his name got him through. But if he wins and he's 95%, and Flex Lewis is 100%, Flex Lewis should win for me all day. On a personal level, if I had to judge right now, I'd give it to Flex Lewis because I like the guy's physique. He's just very, very balanced. I think Kevin English can do well in the open category. I think maybe is it his sponsors maybe are trying to keep him in winning as a Mr. O tag, you know what I mean? I know it's 212 or 202, but so I don't know, but I'm going to say Kevin English followed by Flex Lewis and Jose Raymond maybe number 3. This Sami Ibrahim Ali Abahadadad.
That's a good attempt.
Chance, that guy, and he was only 205 on stage in New York. Even if he adds another pound or 2 maybe to the list, that guy has a fantastic physique. You can't doubt it. So I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say Kevin English, I'm going to say Flex Lewis and Jose Raymond in that order. Alright,
I'm going to go nice and quick through this. I won't argue with you or against you, but number 1 will be Flex Lewis, 2 Kevin English, 3 Jose Raymond, and the rest, unfortunately, they don't really matter. So we'll leave it at that, Craig. That's episode number 1 in the books. Coming up on next week's episode, we're going to be talking about the Toronto Pro review. So we'll go back over who won, who placed, and what we think about the decisions. The Olympia point system explained and reviewed. So there is a point system in place this year. So you don't necessarily have to win a show to get on the Olympia stage. You can accrue points. We will talk more about that. We're also going to go back and touch a little bit on men's physique. It has arrived. It looks like it's here to stay. And Craig, we're also going to touch on some training DVDs, the top 5 pro training DVDs that we believe people out there should watch if they haven't already. Craig, if people want to get in touch with us, how should they go about that?
You can get us on our email, yourphysique@gmail, or yourphysiqueradio@gmail.com. You can get it directly with Colin at yourphysique@gmail.com. You can get right into myself at the gym at castlemaiнгym@gmail.com. Hit us up on Facebook. Leave us your questions, guys. You can email your questions to us or leave questions on Facebook and we'll answer them live on air. If you want to be left anonymous, just say it. Just say so we won't leave it, put your name on air. And that's pretty much if you want to get in touch with us. And hopefully we see you guys next week, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Did you enjoy the first show, Colin?
I did. It was definitely an experience. And stick with us, guys. We've got lots of good coverage coming from Ireland and here in the States. Interviews along the way, and your average Joe's opinion on what is and what isn't in the bodybuilding world. So Craig, with that comes to the end of our very first episode of Your Physique Radio. Tune in next week, guys, and until then, remember, it's your physique
and it's your choice.